Hello, everybody, and welcome to my channel, Jaz's Book Adventures. Happy October! I am so excited. This is my favorite month of the year, the month of changing leaves, crisp leaves, pumpkin spice, chills and thrills, horror movies, and especially the best horror novels. So today I will be discussing Elizabeth Engstrom's two novella collection, When Darkness Loves Us. Now, I first found out about this book through Grady Hendrix's, what I like to call the Bible of horror literature recommendations, and it's a wonderful book called Paperbacks from Hell. Now, if you're a horror aficionado, especially if you're a fan of 70s through 90s horror, which I like to consider the golden age, I highly, highly recommend purchasing this book. I've gotten so many great book recommendations from this. If you like pulp horror, just trashy horror, gothic horror, all kinds, really. It's a great investment because you will find so many different recommendations. I mean, thanks to Grady Hendrix's book, I've read Pin by Andrew Niederman, really enjoyed that. This novel by Elizabeth Engstrom, really enjoyed that. Jaws by Peter Benchley. Uh, Rapture by Thomas Tessier. Just so many. It's just a really fantastic Bible, I would say, for horror lovers. So pick up your copy today. Support the local bookstores if you can, or purchase from local booksellers online or independent booksellers online. So anyway, moving on to Elizabeth Engstrom. So this book actually, When Darkness Loves Us, is a collection of two novellas. The first is When Darkness Loves Us. The second is Beauty Is. Now, I really like both of these stories. The first one deals with a young woman who is newly married and pregnant, living on a farm. She somehow gets lost in these massive tunnels under her barn, and she gets locked in there accidentally by her husband and actually father. And she's trapped in these tunnels for years and years and years in total darkness, eating insects and slugs and just anything she can find down there, just struggling to survive, but coping the best she can and just learning to deal with her situation. And she actually gives birth to a son and raises him down there. However, years later, when she manages to escape, she discovers a family secret and that her husband is still alive and remarried to someone else. And she takes revenge on him. And I'm not going to give away any spoilers, although this was published in 1985, but you're going to have to find out for yourself. But the ending is very dark and twisted, which I appreciate. I don't really care so much for happy endings in horror novels, although hope can be a good thing. But anyway, so the second of the novellas is called Beauty Is, and I really enjoyed this. I would say it's more psychological horror and body horror. It deals with a woman who was born without a nose, who is now in her mid 50s. Both parents are deceased. And due to a severe trauma she suffered as a child, she's left cognitively impaired. She has some cognitive disabilities that has impeded her whole life. So impeded her life, I should say. So she had a very loving mother who was very caring. Mother was a bit of a faith healer. She could actually heal people by putting her hands on them and stuff like that. And I really like that Elizabeth Engstrom incorporates a sort of faith healer maternal figure in her novels. And this woman's father was just very brutal, did not accept her at all, basically rejected her since childhood, which obviously left indelible damage on her psyche, as you can read about. So, really, both of these novellas are about two women coping with massive trauma, massive loss, a sense of just, alienation, not belonging, wanting to fit in, wanting to go back to their lives, especially in the first novella. So I really love this. I highly recommend it. You can find this on abebooks.com or perhaps eBay, Amazon. And the great thing is, this was one of the books that was reissued by, let's see, who is it? Valancourt Books, due to the success of Paperbacks from Hell. And I think that's great. I think it's great that I was able to find basically a new reissued copy that looks really sharp. And so, yeah, highly recommend it. I would give this about, well, both novels, probably a 3.5 for gore. There are some quite disturbing parts in both of these, but they're not nearly as intense as you'd say maybe Jack Ketchum or anything like that. But yeah, and character development, definitely a 5 out of 5. Suspense, I would say 5 out of 5. Just all in all, a really great novella collection. So, highly recommend it. Hope you check it out. If you like my content, please, please subscribe to my channel. It would really help a lot. I very much appreciate that. And why don't you comment about this book if you've read it or if you have any other recommendations?